So there you have it. We'll see you guys next time with another episode. We'll see you guys next time with another episode. Did I say that already?
You said that twice. Yeah, you have
Anyway, we'll see you guys next time with another episode. We'll see you guys next time with another episode.
We'll see you next time with another episode.
We'll see you guys next time with another episode.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
We'll see you next time with another episode.
Oh, no.
We'll see you.
You can't say
next
anything.
time
Ah!
with another episode. Uh-oh. Oh, I'm back.
I'm calling 911.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's Sal.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Ben.
Ah, man, I am so excited to jump into Babylon 5 creator J. Michael Straczynski's Amazing Spider-Man. It's been a few years since we talked about this, and I'm excited to jump into it. But before we do, I don't do this much, so bear with me. If you are here to watch us, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications so you know when we go live, which is Wednesdays. It helps. I don't know how.
Please.
I don't pretend to know. But do it for the love of God, please. Help us help you. You want funny zingers about Spider-Man's dick? You have to click these buttons. I'm sorry. And you want them.
We know you do.
We know you do. We also have a Patreon. Click that too.
Don't tell YouTube.
Don't tell YouTube, for God's sake. They'll be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Nobody's talking about a Patreon.
Whoa, I don't want you going to any other website other than this one.
We got memberships. We only take 50%.
Well, why aren't you promoting the memberships?
Because
It's built into the
50%.
platform. Yeah, but it's so convenient for us to take that
no one
50%.
else. We haven't jumped into Babylon 5 creator J. Michael Straczynski's Amazing Spider-Man in a while.
It has been a while.
It has been longer than you'd think.
I can't even remember.
4 years
Okay.
was the
What
last
was the
time we
story?
talked about it. Yep. Until the Stars Grow Cold and the Conversation.
Sorry, I was thinking Ultimate Spider-Man.
Well, that's just the commenters who think that it's been 4 years since the last time we talked about Ultimate Spider-Man. But
You still have more to do.
we do have more. And we will. But I wanted to jump into this because I've purported this to be my favorite run of Amazing Spider-Man.
You did say that.
It isn't, but it is up there.
So
I
you
do
lied.
love it. It's important to me, and it's also seminal. It's
There was
responsible
a
for getting me
time
into comics.
where it was your most important and the best Spider-Man.
It was. It was my favorite run until I read more / thought about it some more. And like rereading it, sometimes JMS goes a little off the rails. You know?
It's like looking back at an old relationship.
Yeah, and I'm like,
You know, I really thought I was in love until I got myself in a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And I looked back and I was like, wow, that was crazy.
yeah, that was a little much. You know? Things that I thought were cute were not. Or maybe the version of me now doesn't find them cute at all.
Yeah.
That's really what it
Yeah,
is.
I mean, it's you that changed.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
But also, comics changed. Because
That's
this
true,
is
the
about 20
standard has
years old,
changed,
and
yeah.
like, JMS was trying things and pushing envelopes, and he was in the same school of comicry that Bendis was, where it's like, hey, look, realistic dialogue.
Yeah, this is what people would say.
This is what people sound like, or people that I am told sound like this in highly rated movies.
Yeah.
So, you know, Joss Whedon is coming up around this time as well, so you could see the parallels.
Yeah. This is what Aaron Sorkin thinks people sound like.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, no. First of all, Aaron Sorkin is Aaron Sorkin. You created Babylon 5. I love
Don't try to
JMS, and I think he did a great
stay in your
job.
lane.
And he knows story. Son of a
Yeah.
bitch knows story structure. I will give him that.
Yeah.
And he,
Oh, that's politics. I'm doing galactic politics.
yeah, exactly. Well, it's Spider-Man. It's not that galactic.
No, I meant with Babylon 5.
Oh, yes, that's true.
That's true. Yeah, he
Oh,
was,
yeah,
that's
no,
true.
yeah, he did. But there are weird moments where things are like, oh, that was really long-winded and terrible. And then there's other moments where I'm like, that still hits.
Okay.
That's why it stands the test of time. That and the fact that like it is a formative period in Spider-Man's history, and it has some fantastic art from John Romita Jr. on it. And again,
It says Spider-Man on it.
and has Spider-Man on it, yeah. But there
helps.
are forgotten eras of Spider-Man throughout history. Like there are decades of Spider-Man that no one's read. And when I say no one, I mean no one who was born in the last 25 years, where they're just gone from the public consciousness.
Like, oh, you don't need
You don't need that, or they don't even know to know about it. So 4 years ago, we talked about how like Pete and Mary Jane were kind of like estranged. Mary Jane went on to the West Coast and started her movie career. She was in a movie called The Amazing Lobster Man, which is kind of like a
Oh, yeah.
send-up of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Aunt May found out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man,
Right.
and so she's dealing with that. And so things left off on that story where Mary Jane is aware that Peter wants her back, but isn't interested necessarily in reconciliation yet. She seems open to the idea, but she still needs to see why that's a good idea.
What happened in the last story?
Spider-Man fought a guy who stole Dr. Octopus's tech and made a much less iconic-looking outfit, and then Doc Ock also fought that guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, also, Peter might be magic because they introduced a character who is now from everybody's favorite Sony Spider-Man universe movie, Madam Web, Ezekiel Sims. Ezekiel is this character that showed up that JMS created, which was an old guy that has Spider-Man's powers. And he's like, hey, actually, your powers are magic. And that radioactive stuff is garbage. And Pete's like, that's garbage.
That doesn't sound right.
Right? And Morlun attacked.
You just
Right,
sound
Morlun.
like someone who got bitten by a spider and aged a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like a weird clone, aren't you?
He's not. Yet. No. No, Ezekiel's not a clone. Thank God.
He's just some sort
He's
of...
just some asshole.
He's just a mystic.
He's
or
no,
a guru
he's
or
no. He's portrayed as such, but actually, Ezekiel is just an old guy. Like, he was a businessman who wanted power, who pursued it by way of magic, and got spider powers through the spider totem that he says Peter is also
connected to.
Yeah.
Is that like in connection to the spider god?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So Ezekiel has the same powers as Spider-Man because they're both connected to the Spider God, and of course later on she'll be revealed thanks to Dan Slott as the Web of Life and so forth. But the less said about that, the better. Let's just keep it trim.
That's like saying you have superpowers because you got them from the gods of Shazam, or you got them because you're Superman from a different planet.
Well, I mean,
you're both super strong.
Yeah, but
one's magic, one's not.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this guy's claim was that no, our powers are the same.
Yes, they're the same power. They both came from the same source.
Like the radioactive spider was actually like sent by the spider god.
Yes, that the accident was the radiation.
Yeah.
You thought that you got bit by a radioactive spider and it gave you those powers, but actually the spider god chose you, sent an emissary to bite you, and it accidentally got hit by radiation, and that's just what tricked you into thinking it's science-based.
Right.
For the last 60 or 70 years. And so I like Peter kind of going like, no.
Yeah, we're not
going to do that.
No.
You can
say that all you want.
You can say that,
That's
but
not
like
what happened.
me and a contingent of my readers are not going to be on board for that.
So I'm not going to lie.
You like it?
No, I don't like it.
Good.
I just feel like Peter's one of those people who would kind of believe
think he'd go
that.
for it?
No,
he's a man of science.
Peter is a scientist, I get that. But Peter also has crushing guilt and responsibility. So for someone to say, oh, this was predetermined for you, he'd probably be like, that tracks.
No.
It's like his destiny.
He doesn't believe in destiny. That's why he's so upset about letting Uncle Ben die, because of how preventable it was. He's like, no, that's horseshit.
But this would assuage some of the guilt.
But it doesn't, because he never can.
Yeah,
and
but he
also,
doesn't believe it.
He doesn't believe in it.
And he doesn't want to assuage that guilt.
Well, and even if he does, then it's like, okay, a god picked you, and you still squandered your powers. So
That's true.
Either
that
way,
happened
he'd
after.
be upset because it's Peter. But this is The Life and Death of Spiders, which you can get in the comments down below, unless it's out of print, in which case I guess you'll find it another way. But there's also another story arc. We covered a lot of JMS Spider-Man 4 or 5 years ago, where we had Morlun, Ezekiel. We had also this random guy who accidentally got magic powers and was going between dimensions to steal people. And Spider-Man teamed up with Doctor Strange to go into the astral plane to stop him. And on his way to stop him, he ended up going off the beaten path and running into the Spider God, or some kind of a stony totem that represented the Spider God. And coincidentally, thanks to Ezekiel bringing up the whole "you're connected to it anyway" situation, put Spider-Man on the cosmic radar for these more magical-based villains. That's not to say that Dormammu wants to kill Spider-Man, but more that magical beings that are also insect-based, that JMS Babylon 5 creator created himself in this story, are now hunting for him, which includes Morlun and stuff. Like, Spider-Man has never been on Morlun's radar, but for having become a more magically aware character. And so, in this story, yet another evil magic-based insectoid being is looking to kill Spider-Man, and it's one of my favorite recent villain creations, though she is relegated to this story and then nothing after that for a long time, but she does then get more stories, which I'm like, do I like these? I guess I don't really even care. But they give her more backstory.
I guess I just kind of like that character that one time.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And then Dan Slott brought her up in his third or maybe fourth Spider-Verse story. But let's not focus on that. Instead, Pete's alone. He just got back from going to California to try and win Mary Jane back. Didn't work out. He's back home.
Pretty bummed.
So here's the thing that happened. Let's recap how things went for me and my trip to California. I fought Doc Ock and he got away. I met Mary Jane and saw her with a dude that might have a bigger dick than me, and she didn't come home with me, so that's worked out. When I came home, I found out that I wasn't able to buy my one lottery ticket I allow myself a month and play the same numbers that I've played for the last several years. My numbers came up. Cool. Also, forgot to pay my phone bill, so no phone anymore. It's been a red letter week for me. But the problem I've concluded that the problem is California. California is to blame for all of my problems. So anyway, he tries to go to sleep. He can't. He tries a number of ways.
Oh, not again.
Yeah. He tries a number of ways and then just goes like, man, I gotta go to school. I'm a teacher right now. And then he falls asleep. And we're in his subconscious and Doctor Strange is like, hey, I made you go to sleep. Listen. You
gotta ease up, man.
Right. No, he is not interested in Peter's personal problems. He is, however, like, look, I'm doing stuff because JMS is writing a story about me, but also he's setting up a series for me that he'll never do. And so JMS will continue to try and like pepper Doctor Strange in to like convince the Marvel higher-ups that a Doctor Strange book written by him is a good idea. They will never be convinced, except for one miniseries, which kind of blows. And so that, ironically, however, that will be like 2/3 of the basis for the Doctor Strange movie in the MCU. But anyway, so Doctor Strange is with Spider-Man in the dream world, and he's like, listen, you remember when we fought that no-name character that sucks and was boring? And he's like, oh yeah, of course, I remember all those characters. And he's like, listen, remember when I told you not to go off the beaten path? And he's like, yeah, did you?
What does that mean?
What do you want to hear?
Like metaphysically?
Oh, yes, metaphysically, there's like a, don't stray off the path that I designed for you. And he does, and he runs into that spider thing.
Oh, okay.
And then he's like, does this look familiar? And he shows him the spider thing he ran to, and he went off the path. And he's like, okay, so yeah, you got me, Inspector Strange.
Maybe I went off the path a little bit.
Yeah. And he's like,
what was I supposed to do?
The reason why you shouldn't have done that isn't because like you might get lost forever. It's because you are magic, and like you are a totem. He doesn't say that outright, but he's more like, because you are like insect-based, and there are a lot of gods that represent insects, technically you could be construed as part of the totem, and as such could get onto the radar of other magical problems. Anyway, there's another magical creature that's coming after you. I'm busy being another book that doesn't exist, so you're gonna have to deal with it by yourself. But go check out your etymology book on like page 63, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. And then he wakes up, and he goes over there, and he opens up the book to the spider wasp, which is a real insect that is also really scary. And Peter reads an entry on it, and I hate it because the entry is center justified. You know, like every book.
Oh my God.
And it's so that it fits in the panel. And I'm like, you don't need to do that.
I'm sorry, it's written like it's like a verse in the Bible?
Yes.
Like a hymn or something?
Yeah, it's like a psalm.
Yeah, and it's like, no, it's just the paragraph that JMS wrote.
It's also badly center justified. Like, the word in spills down to this line, but you had plenty of space to put that up on that other line.
Yeah,
why would it have done that?
You see how off and from go off the side of the page? Yeah, there was plenty of room for this.
Yeah,
No, someone was just like, and I hit enter here.
Yes.
New sentence.
Boom. Great. So anyway, this is introducing a new villain for Spider-Man named Shathra.
Not Spider-Wasp?
Shathra?
She is a spider wasp. Her name is Shathra.
I know.
These ancient magical beings all have names, and that's the thing that they're based off of.
Yeah, that's an English word, spider wasp. She wouldn't have been called that.
No.
I'm called Shathra.
Her name's
In my
Shathra.
language, it means spider wasp.
Yeah.
How do you spell that? Is that S-H-A? What is it? Okay.
It's spelled the way it sounds.
Okay.
Well, Spider-Man's talking to Doctor Strange in the dream. You know, Pete's like, oh, you saw me without my mask on. Does that mean you know who I am? And I'm like, don't ask those questions, JMS. You don't know the answer to them anyway. But also, Doctor Strange's like, I don't care about that. I'm not trying to like get a scoop with the Daily Bugle.
Right.
And,
it doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, but then while they're like bickering, there's this moment where like in the Matrix, you know how like Neo's there and there's all these people, like these NPCs walking around. So they're, you know, they're in like a dream equivalent of Peter's New York, but every person there is Mary Jane. Like all the men and women and everybody are just women with long red hair. And Doc's like, I gotta go.
I feel like something's gonna happen here, and I want to be around for it.
I'm a little embarrassed for both of us. I'm just gonna.
Seems like you got it tight. So anyway, Shathra shows up, and she's like, "Oh, I'm a fun design," and I'm like, "Yeah, you are a fun design. I like you, Shathra." And she says creepy things, and that's all you need to know. Like, I'm not gonna do them. She seems to have kind of like this whisper, hoarse voice. You're like, little one, the little spider. And I'm like, you're fun.
Okay.
I don't like the fact that she has the same eye shape as Spider-Man.
Yeah, when it's like, you were inspired to design your mask off of all that magic
see,
bullshit.
You're connected to all that shit.
See? Sure.
It's all connected.
It looks cool. Like Spawn.
It does, yeah, it's a cool design.
So anyway, he's like, all right, look, I'm kind of been caught up about you and everything. So yes, I'm Spider-Man, maybe, I'm magic and stuff. We don't have to fight just because you think that totemically you have to hunt me. She's like, no, I do. I really do. That's what I do. And he's like, no, come on, don't. So then they fight.
No, please.
Come
on.
And
I'm really tired.
Yeah, so they fight, and they take down...
He does not know how to deal with villains. He needs to be like, don't make me fucking kill you.
He does that in other books. Like, he only says that to humans.
Right.
Like, there is literally, in another volume, which we will hopefully cover sooner than we did the last one, he deals with a character, and like that character like kind of betrays him, but like he's a mob boss, so he was going to. And Peter goes to his house, and he's just like, if you do that again, I'm gonna rip off your arms and legs and beat you to death with them. And I'm like, whoa! Don't give Iron Man ammunition for the Superhuman Registration Act, man. It's coming. It's not coming right away, but it's on the horizon.
I wasn't actually gonna do it.
No, but like, that's a scary thing for you to say.
He's gonna go tell everyone that you said that.
When you make that threat, if you never fulfill on it,
right?
And they keep screwing
up.
Well,
that's true. Then they know that you're all talk. But like, if Ben Grimm goes into a Starbucks and they get his order wrong, and he's like, I'm gonna beat you into the ground like a tent pole. You have to believe him. You have to take him at his word. He's a giant rock monster. And Spider-Man, you've seen him lift a car.
What are they gonna do?
What?
They'll be like, the thing said this. And I'll be like, no, I didn't.
Yeah, but I have cameras.
Well, okay, yeah, don't say that stuff on camera.
Well, that's why Ben Grimm doesn't do that. The only thing he says is it's clobbering time. What is clobbering time? That's not
very
actionable.
ambiguous.
Exactly. That holds up in a court of law.
Yeah.
So anyway,
look, it doesn't say in the North Pole.
Yeah. I meant emotionally.
It's clobbering time. Come here, you baby seals.
No. So Peter fights the
spider wasp. Yeah.
Spider wasp. And they go all across the city getting his ass kicked because that's what he does.
What are her powers?
She's strong and can turn into a big spider wasp, and she can throw like aspects of herself into kind of like daggers and stuff.
Oh.
For the most part, she seems to just want to get him. Just like,
gotcha. What are you gonna do with him when you get him?
She's gonna have sex with him.
I think she wants to eat him. The idea
she's gonna wrap him up in like webbing and then like bite him, drain his fluids out.
No, her plan is actually to like break him down and then feed him to her children.
Okay.
Which we never see. But anyway, so Shathra ends up punching Peter hard enough that he falls into a billboard, which is adjacent to yet another billboard, and that billboard is advertising the Amazing Lobster Man movie. And he's like, thank you. Because like he mentions...
This poster is...
just so exploitative. I mean, like, it's Mary Jane Watson Parker. Like, we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, they were doing that shit
what kind of movie
in the early 90s.
Oh, yeah.
They tried to cast her in that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and then it turns out all they wanted to do was have her be topless, and so she was like, no, I have integrity for that.
That's right, I remember that.
I guess she's fallen on hard times. Secret Hospital's over.
Yeah.
So
and she's like, well, I won't go topless, but
No.
I will wear extremely revealing clothing
She's
and
always
be carried
doing
around
that.
by
I mean, like,
a lobster man.
Yeah.
I mean, this is literally lingerie in this poster.
Yeah. I mean, for all we know, that's just Photoshop. It's not even her.
Right. It's true.
Back then, no.
Right, like in the Dogma movie poster in 1999, that's not Linda Fiorentino's body.
Really?
No, they just put her head on it.
Oh my God.
Now you'll always see that. She had a real problem with that, which of course, how could she not? Pete brings up to himself earlier when he's fighting Shathra, like, I don't like to hit women. Which is like, no shit. But also, in this line of work, there are bad guys.
Yeah.
There are bad guys who are bad girls.
I think she could take it. She's a giant wasp-like monster.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, you punch Titania and she's a person. Like in 1984. But
yeah, but she's really strong.
Again, like
her name's Titania.
Well, that's true. She could take it.
She's like 8'6".
No, and that's what's so weird. Actually, no, he traumatizes her as a result of that. because she is like, she was weak. Doom gives her powers. She gets a big head about it. She challenges Spider-Man. Spider-Man kicks the shit out of her. And she is afraid of Spider-Man for years after that. Where when she sees him, she has like a trauma response.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, jeez. Oh. So, anyway.
I mean, accurate depiction back in the 80s,
yeah, well, yeah.
But, Pete sees the poster and he's just like, thank you for the motivation I needed, Lobster Man. He ends up not beating the living crap out of her. He does end up, like, using his brain. He lures her into the subway, jumps onto a subway car, and then knowing the, like, patterns of the subway, because he's a regular schlub like you and me, he's like standing there in the subway car, the door closes before she gets into it, and she's like threatening him. She's like, ho, like, I can smell you. And then he just goes, Bink, like points, and she sees the other car coming. It just takes her away.
Nice.
But he's like, I can't even enjoy the moment because I noticed that she was smiling, and just before she got hit by the train, I heard her call me Parker.
Oh.
So I don't know what that means. So he goes back to his apartment.
I think it means she knows who you are.
Well, yeah, but like, what kind of threat is that?
Right.
You're like a magical being. So he ends up keeping his costume on and just waiting in his apartment until the morning. And he's like, now I have to go to work. Cool. So, puts on his civvies. He goes to school. He does his job. On his way to school, Shathra watches him and then starts morphing into a person.
Oh.
And then goes to a local newspaper or news outlet. So she goes to the Daily Bugle, which doesn't work because later JMS forgets he did that. But let's just say she goes to a news outlet. It is clearly the Daily Bugle. And she talks to this...
Yeah, there's a bugle on the side of this building.
Exactly. And she says to this guy,
well, that could be anything. That could be a trumpet.
Yeah, that's the Daily Trumpet.
She says to this guy, like, I know Spider-Man. I've been having sex with him for years.
Oh.
And I'd love to give you the exclusive. Which is so frustrating because then she goes on TV to do her tell-all.
What?
And Jameson's watching it. And he's like, get this woman's name and get her on the phone. And I'm like, but you have it because she went to your office.
Whoa, no. She went to the office.
Yeah.
But they're like,
oh, we're not getting Jameson.
Tabloid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Please. Except they should know if you have bad news on Spider-Man, it goes to the top of the list. Yeah. But again, I bet this was, she goes to a news station and Romita Jr. goes, got it, Daily Bugle. Of course, you're writing a Spider-Man book.
Right.
He's like, no, you idiot.
No, a different one. God, you should have read ahead.
Yeah. So Pete stays after school to help out this kid who was in a previous volume who reminds him of him. Don't worry, when Peter loses his job, he forgets all about this kid. And every kid that he tries to help. So he's...
but that works out really well for them when they fail high school.
Well, naturally. We'll never see him again. So Peter goes to the faculty lounge and he sees that Shathra has now become Sharon.
Sharon.
Yes. And Sharon is basically on like a kind of morning talk show kind of deal. Like a live Today Show kind of show. Because it's got to be like 8:30 in the morning.
Wow, what a great live scoop.
She's not trying to destroy his life. I mean,
She's
not
trying to
like...
What, like flush him out?
It sounds like it. She wants to eat him and feed him to her kids.
She wants to fuck with him.
Just...
I want to play with you and fight you.
To what end?
I'm a magical creature that wants to feed you to my children. Whatever end is my whimsy. I'm a creature of myth and legend. You don't know my knowing.
So like messing with you is like the point.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't get to do this very often.
I do want to feed you to my children, so there is like
there's an end game.
There is like an objective that has value to me, but also I don't mind like just screwing around.
Well, like, I'm also saying like when I feed you to my kids, you'll also taste better if you're more embarrassed.
Maybe you'll be more. Yeah, exactly. if I toughen you up a little bit. If I tenderize you a little bit, maybe you'll be more delicious.
Well, it's like that episode of Rick and Morty where the people turn into spaghetti and like if they lived a richer life, they taste better.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like if I embarrass you and ruin your like private life, then you will be more delicious to my children. I think she's just like, no, you wouldn't play with me. Like the whole point of this is like, we're not gods necessarily, but we're mythic creatures of a sort.
We play that game.
We do that. We do the thing.
Like Wasp and Spider.
I think it's called Cat and Mouse. Yeah, it's a regional thing.
Weird.
But yeah, so she's... But
it's like my kids aren't that hungry. I have time to mess around.
Well, they've clearly been waiting for a long time. You know?
Yeah, it's like centuries.
Right, at least
they
30
need to
years,
eat once
though.
a millennia.
Yeah.
I got time to kill.
Well, and also, like...
who's to say she doesn't have, like, a brood every year?
Well, that's true. Well, also, like, wait a minute. You didn't even, like... Because Morlun wants to eat him, too. You know, like, do Shathra and Morlun have some kind of a weird kind of, like, thing going? Or do they have, like, are they two sides of the same coin? Like,
sure.
There's a constant threat that wants to eat Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, look... Ever since Kraven ate spiders and lapped up venom,
yeah, it's all about eating.
It's all about eating Spider-Man.
It's consuming spiders.
Yeah, what do spiders do? They eat. It's all on theme.
I guess.
I mean, everything does, but we know them
all
for
living
the
things
horrible way in which they consume things.
Yeah,
so, what if someone was going to eat Peter?
Oh.
Like Peter would eat them if he was a real spider,
but he's not.
Which he isn't. So,
no.
Yeah. No. Maybe her children were starving to death last night, and when she didn't bring home food, they like died. So now she's like, well, now I don't need.
No, she keeps wanting to do it.
Oh, okay.
She keeps bringing them up.
Because her going on TV doesn't really further her goal.
No, it's just raising the emotional stakes.
Well, maybe it's baiting him out.
She is baiting him out,
she's just a piece of shit.
She's a massive piece of shit. No, because she's not trying to find him. She saw him go to school.
And she knows where he.
No, she wants him to play.
Yeah.
Like when he shows up, she's like, "Oh, good, now you're ready."
What is this? Is it like, hey, I had sex with Spider-Man and he like came in 5 seconds and his dick is like
she's
2
talking
inches
shit
long?
about him.
She's talking shit. She's like, "Oh yeah, and he's married, and he's cheating on her, and he made fun of the superhero community. He talked about what losers and creeps they are, what freaks they are." And then you see the superhero community like watching it, like the Fantastic Four is like, "What a bitch." like the Fantastic Four are literally like, I don't believe a second of it.
Yeah.
I believe a second of it. Meanwhile,
Mary Jane is like,
the
what
thing is
the
like,
fuck?
no.
Yeah, things like, yep.
Yeah, I believe it. Maybe Stretcho doesn't.
Yeah, but no, you see how checked out he is. Like they're all watching it.
Yeah,
like, you know,
they're just
Johnny's like busting a gut laughing. But
this is what happens to everybody. You don't see it, but it does. It happens to all of us.
Yeah, no. Reed says it's the price of celebrity.
Yeah.
But Mary Jane is not sure, so she's in California just crying.
Well, you are in California.
You also
so if he
left him.
This woman's saying that
it was for years.
It's been going on.
Yeah, it's
forever.
been on for a long time. Yeah.
So
she also says he's part of like insurance scams.
Oh yeah, well he would like set up fights and then like collect money for destroying buildings and stuff. Like no, she's just tearing him down.
Yeah.
In every respect, and he immediately calls Mary Jane, and she's like, "Is it true?" And he's like, "No, it is not true. It can't be true. This woman is trying to." She's like, "But how does she know who you are?" And he's like, "It's a long story. I will fix this."
It's magic and shit.
And he crushes his phone in his hands.
I thought he didn't have a phone.
No, he has a phone. They canceled his long distance plan. That's his landline. This is 25 years ago. Ezekiel sees it too, because you're going to set up Ezekiel. And I love him. Just Pete's like, I don't even remember getting to this point in the city by swinging. Like, I am just that upset. And I try to formulate a battle strategy, and I can't. And I'm just like, fuck it. Just live in the rage and let it guide you. And so, like, you can see, she's being interviewed by like the big window from like the Today Show, and they're like, "So why don't you just tell us who he is?" Because like, it's kind of weird and suspicious that we put you on television with a very flimsy backstory for you to just badmouth Spider-Man without any collateral. So why don't you give it to us now? And she's like, "I could," and they're like, "Yeah, anybody could." Also, me saying that really kind of negates why we put you on TV in the first place. But let's not get into that. But anyway. As she is contemplating revealing Spider-Man's full name on television, Spider-Man just crashes through the window. And he's like, "That's enough of that." And they're like, "Okay." Spider-Man has lost it.
Yeah.
He pushes a security guard out of the way. That's on TV. Man. And she says, "Okay, I'll be happy to tell everybody the truth." And she starts to say his name, and he just punches her in the face. And they're like, "There you have it, folks. Spider-Man just punched an unarmed woman in the face." Well, and then she emerges from the, like, wreckage that he knocked her into from how hard he punched her, and now she's Shathra. She's like, you weren't ready to play before, but now you are. And they're like, "Okay, so the woman that we put on television is now actually apparently a bug monster?" We really need to start vetting our sources.
Does that make it more likely that she was telling the truth or less?
Probably more.
Right, but you know what? So
now we know she knows him.
Right, that's true.
They're both spider things. I mean,
that's presumably.
Checks out.
I don't know. I think she looks more like a spider wasp, Mark.
Is a spider wasp a type of wasp or a type of spider?
It's a type of wasp.
Oh, okay.
It's a wasp that hunts spiders.
Okay.
So I love it. She punched him in the face, which tears his mask. He says, "She hits me hard. I don't even feel it."
Oh. Because just rage.
He's just so full of rage.
Yeah.
And so he just hauls off and beats on it. He's like, "For the first time in my life, I want to kill someone." And she's not even a human being, so I think I can get away with it.
I think I can.
Like, he takes a parking meter and just starts, like, bashing her head in with it.
That's awesome.
This is intense.
Yeah, it's awesome. And while he's hauling off on her, some people see her and they're like, don't let him hear you! And he's like, I'm not the monster here. He's not even yelling at them. But, he realized that she's created this kind of, like, web that separates the two of them, and she's like, yeah, no, like, basically she says a bunch of bullshit about, like, the spider and the man. JMS loves to talk about the spider versus the man, and how, like, the spider takes over and the man recedes, and he does that all the way through all the way through everything he does, and it's not just that she wanted to humiliate him, she wanted him to abandon the human part of him. And just give in to the thing that makes her, that makes him special.
Yeah, spiders are known for their rage.
For their rage and their power. So he attacks. So he's like, okay, hang on a second. So he backs off. She shoots him in the back with one of her stingers. He jumps onto a cab, climbs into it, and he's now like, he's not paralyzed, but he's starting to fall ill from the sting of this thing that she threw into his back. This is
Venom.
This is the thing that spider wasps do. They sting their prey, and he remembers actually having seen a literal spider wasp hunt and kill an actual spider, and I'm like, you don't need to go that far. You can just have it be in the book, but moving on.
No, I've seen it.
But he's like,
should have just been in the paragraph.
Right.
Remember that book where I was so interested in
paralyze
ants?
their
I'm
prey.
actually really into.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I get
bug
him
stuff.
actually, like, reading up on things that are spiders or spider adjacent.
Yeah.
But, like, either way, he's like, he remembers that this is a thing that spider wasps do. And
it's pretty serious.
It's pretty serious.
He needs to.
Yeah.
It's like the next thing that happens is I get eaten.
Yes, exactly. So I gotta rally. But he falls asleep kind of in the back of the cab while the cab just drives him away. The cabbie, of course, is a George character, so he's like, I drove a couple of characters in my cab that are like you. And then Pete eventually just climbs out of the cab. He's like, hey! You owe me money, man! And Pete's like, bye. And then the cabbie like turns to a car next to him and he's like, hey! Spider-Man just stiffed me! And like, Spider-Man? He's like, yeah, he's right over there! Like, thank you. Please move the car.
I did. I moved it 20 blocks.
Everybody does
for free.
Like, every other page is another effing George character that is just like, hey, I got something to say too, and I know that I'm not a Spider-Man character or anything, but I got fun witticisms.
Look at my world. It's populated. It's populated with all these colorful characters.
Yeah, I know. You're playing in it. You don't own this
it's
world.
A slice of life.
That infuriates me.
I know. So Pete goes to the Museum of Natural History and climbs into a spider exhibit, and the spiders all just like,
where there's actual spiders?
Yeah, he goes into a spider exhibit. Like, he gets into like a spider enclosure, and then all the spiders just descend on him and cover his body with spiders, as though they know that he is one of them, and they're protecting him.
Normally in a spider enclosure, you'll have like two or three spiders.
It's also like the size.
Aren't they like fiercely territorial? Like, they wouldn't all be together. They'd kill each other.
Yeah, but if the god of spiders sent his totem to them, then
they're
it
like
overrides
they'll come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Well, there's another force driving them.
Naturally.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't say it out loud, but we see it in action numerous times. So anyway, Ezekiel eventually sees him, and he's just like, all right, I found him. Get the chopper ready. Let's go. So then Ezekiel takes Spider-Man to Africa, the birthplace of Anansi and the Spider God and whatnot. Pete gets a whole little history lesson about like the origin of the Spider God.
Is this the first book with Ezekiel?
No.
Right. Okay. So he's talked about this stuff before, but not in this detail. We're just getting more. Okay.
Yeah, we're getting more.
Okay.
Also, in the previous story that we saw Ezekiel in, Morlun killed Ezekiel. So Pete thinks Ezekiel is dead.
But he's not.
And we, as the reader, are like, oh, even though we don't care.
Right. How
because
is he
I remember
not dead?
a lot of people being like, who? Like, I remember when this book was coming out, and I remember people being like, I don't care about Ezekiel at all.
Right.
And he does insist upon himself, but he does earn a spot. Like, it is through just trying to force that peg to fit.
Right.
But he does get it in
eventually.
there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I mean, I have some respect for that.
Ezekiel isn't annoying.
Yeah.
You know, it isn't like...
No, he's just like, no, but like, where is he coming from and
Stick's
why?
cool. He's not Wreck Rap. I'm talking about Wreck Rap.
What?
Wreck Rap is a Zeb Wells creation where Peter goes to hell and there's a demon that's like, oh, you're cool, and then models himself after him, and he looks like a Battletoad in Spider-Man's costume.
Yeah, I don't want...
I hate Wreck Rap so much.
This is
Parker
better.
backwards. Anyway.
Oh, God.
So Peter wakes up, and Ezekiel's like, so, did you hear me tell the tale of Anansi while you were sleeping? And he's like, kind of. And he's like, good. Anyway, come on. And Pete's like, that's great, Ezekiel. I'm glad you're alive. But anyway, I gotta go. And he's like, where? Because you're in effing Africa. And he's like, ah!
I don't have a passport. I can't get home.
No, he doesn't. And he's like, ah! So
I love it. He's like, my face, my identity. He's like,
yeah.
No one here cares.
He's like, you're in like a small tribe that's actually like worshiping Anansi. Like, you're not even part of real Africa, nor are you part of fake Wakanda Africa. You're part of special new Babylon 5 creator Africa.
This is like deep African.
Yeah, this is like super Africa, and I'm glad that J. Michael Straczynski is the one to give it to us. So
deep in the heart of Africa.
So Pete is like, I guess I can. They're like, they don't even know who Spider-Man is. Like, they don't even know what your outfit looks like.
Yeah.
So they don't care who your face is.
Don't worry about it.
So then Ezekiel shows him, like, that they're actually at like a temple for Anansi, and it looks just like the thing that he encountered in the astral plane. And we get glimmers of how Ezekiel actually got his spider powers in the first place. Like just these shadows, these moments where like Ezekiel's strapped up to a wall against a web of some kind, and he's got, you know, someone carving his flesh and drawing blood, and you're like, classic and relatable Spider-Man character, Ezekiel Sims. Thanks a lot. And
yeah, I don't think we're the same at all.
No,
my thing was not.
We
like
can get
that.
away with it. You know what? It's been 4 years since the last time we talked to Ezekiel. Who knows when we'll talk about Ezekiel's like finale? But yeah, no. Ezekiel found out about Spider-Man. Spider-Man is the totem. Like, Anansi picked Peter. But Peter never knew about or bought into any of it. And Ezekiel knows that there's like ways to appease the god and become the totem. So he went to the temple and did a blood sacrifice and got the powers from the spider god and became like another totem.
Interesting.
And Morlun was looking for him. But Ezekiel's like, like, he tried to help Peter because he felt guilty about how he's kind of like, I put a target on Peter's back because of what I've been mucking around with. And so eventually Ezekiel will become the third threat of Spider-Man in JMS's arc. Morlun,
because a bad guy?
Shathra, Ezekiel. Yes.
Oh.
Well, there can be only one totem.
Yes. So right now, Ezekiel...
So he should have just let Morlun eat Peter.
He should have.
But he wasn't there yet.
He wasn't there yet. No, Ezekiel also...
It's a journey he's on to where he is trying to help Peter, and he's like, nah, you know what, fuck Peter.
Well, because Ezekiel also, like, it's so funny because Ezekiel was like, I need these powers. Like, his whole thing is, I need these powers because I need to be able to, like, realize my full potential and do good in this world. And so the god's like, sure. And not really, the god's like, sure. Okay. It's more like, well, the blood hit the floor in the special temple, so I guess you're sure. And so,
knock yourself out.
Yeah,
you got spider powers. Yeah. And somehow, in like flashbacks that have no dialogue in them, Ezekiel parlays his spider powers into becoming like a wealthy businessman. Like, what?
Well, that's how I'm doing good. I'm doing good for myself.
Well, yes. Well, and then it'll trickle down into the mouths of everyone else.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. But by the way, like, how the living hell do you parlay being able to stick to walls into having a multinational business conglomerate? Like,
well, he learns that he uses spider powers to gamble.
Right. Like, I guess that's what it is. Like, I was thinking,
I'm in
like,
danger of losing money.
Oh
no!
Right. Like, I thought it was like, oh yeah, well, like I was like on the street corner in Manhattan. I would like flip over like 3 times. I get like money in a hat, and then eventually I like parlayed that money. Like,
yeah. Then I made some series of bets.
Right. Like, I guess that's what it is. Because
I mean, criminally you could, right? Because he could become like a heavy for bad guys. He could steal all kinds of money.
I think it's that he uses spider sense for ill-gotten gains, but like
it's very vague.
It's super vague, and they never explain it. And
never address.
And how come Peter doesn't do a similar thing? Like,
that's what leads me to think it's criminal.
Peter actually does say at some point in his long and storied history that he could go to Vegas and use his spider sense, but doesn't, because that would be wrong. Anyway.
Would it be wrong? They're all criminals.
Right. Well, there is another volume that we'll get to one day where Peter is like paid by a mobster to protect him because someone's trying to kill that mobster and Peter wants to stop them anyway. And he's like, well, I guess I could be paid for a thing I was going to do anyway.
Right.
And Mary Jane is like, it's a little dicey. I mean, like,
yeah,
and he's
that
like,
is dirty money.
yeah. And he's like, yeah, it kind of is. And then, like, he asks his Commissioner Gordon character, Lamont, to kind of sign off on it. You know, he's like, what do I do with this money? Like, can I keep it? And Lamont's like, look, I mean, like, if a mobster buys a bagel with his money, he bought the bagel, you know?
Right.
How he got the money is how we're going to arrest him, but the bagel's still eaten, so consider yourself the bagel.
There you go. You're not
Consider yourself the bagel shop.
You're not going to go to the bakery and be
No,
like,
you're the bagel. You ate, you're gone. Like,
you've been eaten,
you
it's
can't
over.
refund the bagel. We're not going to itemize the bagel and add it to the list of charges.
Right.
So anyway, Ezekiel right now is kind of like, yes, Peter, I'm going to protect you to death. Like he wants to save him from Shathra. Because I think Ezekiel thinks that he can have it both ways. But also, I think Ezekiel needs to kill Peter himself. It doesn't matter.
Oh.
At this point, does Peter be like, whoa, the spider totem in real life? I should not be here.
No.
Dr. Strange specifically warned me about this.
No, it's like you weren't supposed to see that in the astral plane. If
You already did, it's too late.
Yeah, that's also true. Shathra's
that ship
Shathra's
sailed.
coming.
Yeah.
So he's like,
You can see it all you want now, it doesn't make a difference.
yeah, knock yourself out. Jump on it. Play on it. It's fine. So Pete's
It's
like,
bouncier than it seems.
it's made of rocks. How is that possible?
I know, it's weird.
It's weird, right?
Magic.
So Pete's like, so since we're in Africa, I guess Shathra, like, can't find me or something? Oh, no, actually, the fact that you're here means she can find you faster and more
I
intensely
think
than
the
ever.
most dangerous place on earth.
Yeah, no, and he's like, well,
Why would you do that?
why would that help me? He's like, well, I was hoping that you would, like, listen to my dumb story about gods and stuff so that you would, like, you know, learn a thing or two and then embrace your true nature and then fight her to the bitter end. And he's like, okay.
Okay.
I was fighting her pretty good on
yeah,
my own.
I couldn't have done that in New York.
Well, but, like, there's fewer innocents here, you know, except for this tribe that's been forgotten to time.
Right.
No, they're sacrificed themselves to the spider god.
Yeah, they want to be
They
caught
are
up
down,
in it.
but like also she's gonna come into the cave. There's no one in the cave except for you and me, and I actually have to hide in this cave from her so she doesn't kill me. So bye. And Pete's like, okay, see you later. So then Ezekiel then grabs a ceremonial knife and cuts his hand and lets blood hit the floor. This is Ezekiel luring Shathra to Spider-Man. He tells Spider-Man that his blood fell, luring Shathra, but really all these things are looking for him and trying to get him first. And Ezekiel's just like, yeah.
So this is where we start to see.
Yeah, the true colors of Ezekiel.
Is his blood black?
It looks
It's
black.
black to get past the censorship.
Okay.
So Pete puts a Spider-Man costume on, Shathra attacks, and he's like, let's go. And so they have a big, let's do it! So they have a big, epic, awesome fight until eventually a bunch of spiders come out of nowhere and they envelop Shathra and then start biting her, and then they drag her body down a big hole.
Oh, and then Ant-Man's like, don't steal my bit.
You're welcome. Yeah, exactly. How dare you? If I see a spider helmet, you're going down.
Does Spider-Man cause that to happen, or he's just fortunate that the spiders show up?
I mean, this is the spider temple.
Spider-Man didn't go, spiders, get her!
I guess she shouldn't have come here.
Yeah.
This is
she was just
where
so
he's
hungry.
most powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And the spiders web her up.
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah. So Shathra is then brought into a hole where there's some kind of greater threat down there. And Pete's like, do I want to know what's down there? And Ezekiel's like, you do not. And Pete's like, fair enough. I'm going home.
Oh my god.
It's a giant blue jay. It's like 5 stories tall.
Yeah. If you can believe it, it's a big fucking spider. We don't see it until Ezekiel gets killed by it. So the news like, well, anyway, in our list of retractions, I guess we've been had and we're really sorry. But also, hey, Spider-Man, you owe us like $6 million for the hole in the wall. They don't say that, but we have to assume that's the case. Also, this is where Sal noticed there isn't an arc that JMS writes in which Spider-Man does not fall a building. And I don't like that one bit.
She doesn't fall a building? What do you mean?
A building collapses in every single JMS arc.
Oh.
Of course, including the 9/11 issue that he wrote. Now, that being said, you know, I'm just saying.
It's almost like buildings collapse, like a crutch for him.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Like I gotta put.
And then it's just to show how intense it is.
That's how intense it is.
That's how intense the fight is.
Collapsed.
And I'm like, yeah, but like every arc, a building collapses, and it's like a big one too. So
well, it's New York. That's a major threat, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the Fantastic Four's there.
Can you imagine?
Also, like, never happens.
It never happened.
That's very rare.
It's very rare, and it actually is more selectively done in previous years. Like, when it happened, it was a BFD. So anyway, because of that whole Shathra thing, and Mary Jane sees it on the news, because I guess she gets the New York feed in LA, but she sees that, and she's like, okay, you know what, enough of this. I'm going to reconcile with Peter. So she puts her shit in a bag, and she gets on a plane, she's going to fly to New York.
See, this is what happens when I'm not home.
She's filming a movie.
No, she did that already.
Yeah, it's over. They're already doing previews and stuff. So
right?
yeah.
So Ezekiel tries to like lecture Peter about like being the spider totem, and Pete's like, "I'm sorry. You know what? The fact is, one day I'm going to embrace this idea, but the audience is not on board yet, so I'm going to have to keep you at arm's length." And Ezekiel's like, "Fair enough. Anyway, that car's going to take you anywhere you want to go. It's going to put you on a plane. It's going to send you to New York." And Pete's like, "Cool.
Thank you."
So then and then Peter leaves earshot, and Ezekiel's like, "And one day I'm gonna kill you." Hey, what are you doing?
What? Nothing.
Yeah, I
heard some maniacal laughter, and as Spider-Man, I hear it a lot. I've kind of developed an ear for it.
I'm just saying, I can tell.
Right. My spider sense.
My thing went off.
So Pete gets in the limo. The limo starts to drive him away. He sees this tribe. He makes the limo stop. He gets in the passenger seat. He's like, no, this is wrong. Like, I don't feel right being led. So I'm going to be more relatably in the passenger seat of this limousine. So then...
I'm sure the limo driver's like, yeah, thanks.
Great.
Great. Now I can't talk to myself or go on the phone or fart.
Yeah.
So,
or play the music I wanted to.
No, exactly. So Mary Jane gets on the plane. Some guy makes a pass at her. She covers him in water and makes fun of him. Pete then goes...
Then like, the air marshal, like, tackles her and, like...
Yeah. So Pete's at the like ticket booth getting his points redeemed or whatever, and he's like thinking about it for a second. And he sees the map of the United States and he goes, "How can I trade my ticket in for a coach seat to Los Angeles and a like floater ticket to Manhattan?" And they're like, "Yes." So he's like, I'm gonna go back to LA and I'm gonna get Mary Jane back. Her crying on the phone because of that monster has really crystallized for me that I just need to get Mary Jane back. So he's going to LA and MJ's going to New York. So MJ goes to New York, finds out that Pete has a cute, pretty lady neighbor across the hall, breaks into his apartment, and then just kind of like hangs out there waiting for him to come home. Peter has a miserable time flying back to LA, ends up trying to get into MJ's hotel room or whatever, apartment, hotel. So then he...
Are you a guest?
No.
Then get the fuck out.
Oh. So then
It's one of those hotels that movie stars stay at. We don't fuck around here.
I'm here to see Mary Jane Watson.
Right.
Yeah, you and about 50 people a day, pal.
Yeah.
So you're not getting in there yet, crazy paparazzi.
So he tries to call his house, check his messages, but the phone has been disconnected.
Right.
The landline.
Yes.
And so he can't even call the house where Mary Jane is waiting for him, and he doesn't know it.
Why doesn't he call her? Oh, does she not have a cell phone?
He crushed his cell phone.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but she has a cell phone.
Yeah, but he just used a he just used a
he doesn't know the
payphone.
number. It was on his cell phone.
That's true.
He knows his
There's only
house number
2000s.
and
He was
nothing
trying to
else.
get with her. He knows her number.
That's true. You don't.
Yeah, he would know her number.
But maybe he ran out of coins.
Yeah, he had enough money for one call.
That's a Peter Parker thing. So then he wraps his face up and climbs up the apartment wall. So Peter wraps up his face and climbs up the hotel wall. There's a timeless cross-dressing joke, and then Peter goes in and he like looks at her clothes and sees all of her like invitations to parties, and he's like, who am I to stand in her way? Like, this is her life now. Like, she doesn't need me. Like, I just almost got killed by a wasp monster. And this, and like while that was happening, Mary Jane was like invited to like 3 different premieres. You know, I need to let her go.
Her life's better without.
I've been holding her back.
Yes. And Mary Jane is like, what am I doing here in Peter's apartment waiting for him to come home? Like, Peter has a life. I need to let it go. So then they both resign themselves to letting their marriage end. They both get on their planes. They're flying back to their own respective coasts when a storm downs both planes and they have to land in Denver. So they both land in Denver. They're both in the same airport. They're both in the same terminal. And they don't see each other until Peter notices like a spider on a chair. And when he sees it, he sees that behind the spider is Mary Jane. And he just runs over to her and he's like, hey, we need to talk. And she's like, I have a flight. He's like, me too, but I don't care. And she's like, me either. So let's talk. This is the issue that young me was like, oh, it's finally happening.
Yay! Finally breaking up.
No. There was an issue before JMS got on board where they killed her, and it didn't stick.
They killed her?
Yeah, she died in a plane crash.
Oh my god.
She didn't really, though.
Right.
Someone who was obsessed with her killed hundreds of people in a plane to fake her death and keep her as a prisoner in his basement.
That's horrific.
Yeah. Jesus. Mary Jane has a lot of unresolved trauma that no writer remembers to deal with. So this is the issue. Spider-Man Volume 2, number 50, that got me back into comic books since I quit during the Clone Saga.
Oh, so you weren't aware of any of this background?
Nope, I didn't know anything about
Ezekiel. You got to
Ezekiel
skip all that horrible fucking Spider-God stuff.
Where Spider-Man and Captain America team up to fight Doctor Doom, and then Spider-Man gets back together with Mary Jane. And all this zippy dialogue is going on, and I'm like, oh, man, great. Comics are amazing.
I've been missing out. Spider-Man's been great.
Yes.
I gotta catch up on all this. What the crap?
Okay, well, never mind about that.
No, I wasn't even catching up. I was just reading forward.
Yeah, you're like, well, they're back together. That's what I wanted.
Yeah,
so.
and like fun things happen, and it's going great. And then Ezekiel shows up, like, who the fuck's this guy?
Who's this guy?
And he's like talking about totems and shit. I'm like, well, good thing he's full of crap. And then he died, and I'm like, even better.
Yeah, great.
Little did you know.
Of course he did.
Yeah. Little did I know there's a Spider-Verse. I thought it was bad when Spider-Man was just picked by a spider god to be his totem. Turns out Spider-Man is a multiversal superhero across the cosmos. Thousands of redundant Spider-Man that make my character even less special than he ever was. They both reveal that they were on each other's respective coasts trying to find each other, and then they've had to wait to go to Denver. He's just like, yeah, the Shathra thing, like that's like what made me. And she's like, that's what made me do it. Like I it just brought to the surface all of my insecurities about us in the first place. Like, you have a double life. Maybe you had like more. Maybe I'm not enough. All the insecurities
maybe
that
you're gonna like chop me up and feed me to your children. Like I don't,
She's not worried about all the
metaphor
Spider
breaks
crap.
down.
Yeah, but she is worried about like Spider-Man leaving her for like Captain Marvel or something.
Right.
And it's a good thing that no one at the editorial level thought that would be a fun pairing after the One More Day incident, to give her even more insecurity. But I guess the fact that she's also like a supermodel means that like she can be not as petty about it.
Right. Yeah.
So while they're talking, like they're not reconciling. He's saying, basically she's just kind of like, maybe you're bored with me. Like maybe I'm not enough for you. And he sees that Dr. Doom's entered the airport. And the idea was that the storm downed one of Dr. Doom's private planes, and so he had to go through security. And so, Dr. Doom was being escorted by the special security. This is the moment that got me, young me, going like clapping my hands and laughing my ass off because of this meta joke that happened, where he says, "Typical shoddy American workmanship. Such incompetence would not be permitted in the Latveria of Dr. Doom." And the security guard next to him says, "How do you do that?" And he says, "Do what? Speak in all capitals like that." Yeah.
It's very, very meta.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's fun! And then you go back and read the last, 3 volumes, and he's been doing that every other page. He's a silence moron. No, he's a silence minion. By the way, that security guard is Captain America, in disguise, sent by the Avengers, who have not yet disassembled, to do this.
Oh, shit. Doom doesn't recognize him?
No. No,
he's like, I don't usually fight you.
He's wearing a baseball cap, too. It's like, if the MCU is any indication, that's like complete total camouflage. Mary Jane's like, wow, I've never been this close to Doctor Doom before. And Pete's spider sense goes off. She's like, well, it is Doctor Doom. And he's like, no, it's something else. And then this dude runs up to Doom and goes, Doom! Death to tyrants, free Latveria, opens up his shirt, he's got a suicide vest, blows himself up.
OMG. Holy crap.
So this explosion caves in half of the airport. Doom is down for the count.
Holy crap.
The security guard that was with Doom is also waylaid. Pete goes to help him and sees that he's got his Captain America costume underneath, and he's like, oh, slips on his Spider-Man mask and then helps Captain America to his feet, and he's like, hey, oh shit, it's Spider-Man, great. Listen.
Oh, God.
And he's like, no, it's okay. He's like, no, it's just begun. And Pete's like, what? And a bunch of exosuits land. They're not Iron Man suits. These are third-party freedom fighter domestic terrorist suits that are here to kill Dr. Doom.
What?
Yep.
From who?
Justin Hammer.
Who indeed? Yeah, sure. Why not? But no, the idea is that, like, Doom is a tyrant. There are lots of people who want him dead. this is a well-funded, poorly organized organization that has put together a contingent of people that are here to take down Doom.
They're Latvian freedom fighters?
Or not.
Or they're people who just have interests in Latveria.
Yeah, but they're not like they're not developers.
They seem to be true believers. They're saying die tyrant.
Yes, no, they're willing to die for the cause.
Well, that one guy was. These robots, we have no idea.
Well, no, the robot says die tyrant.
Well, they're people in those suits, and they do die.
Oh, it's not. They're people. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
no, they're like Iron Man suits.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. It's okay to kill them. And so what transpires is a fun fight between these Iron Man type characters and Spider-Man and Captain America. And you get to see Spider-Man and Captain America team up before they do again when yet another sexy insect lady shows up to try and get Spider-Man to do something for them.
Oh.
Yeah. Seem familiar?
Yeah, then that happened
a year later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shathra is a year before the Queen. But hey, I'm sure it's very original. I'm sure just great minds think alike.
Yeah. That was so much worse than this.
Shathra's fun.
Shathra's fun.
She's one-dimensional.
I don't care for any of the nonsense around it, but it holds together as a story.
It drives the line. It's the theme. The theme of the thing is reluctant totem magic bullshit.
Yeah, it's very consistent.
Yeah.
I would excuse it because she goes away at the end of the story.
She also goes away.
Yeah.
Unlike Morlun, who was a pain in the ass.
Never goes away.
Yeah.
I think that JMS only planned on having Morlun show up 2 times. The first time and in the other. And that was it. But he's a Marvel character, so, I mean...
They don't all come back, though.
It's only a matter of time before Morlun becomes an anti-hero that has his own series.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised he hasn't already.
Well... In one of the Spider-Verse sequels, Morlun does inevitably team up with the Spider People to fight an even greater threat.
Yeah.
Because, and maybe that greater threat is Shathra.
What?
And the tagline underneath is going to be more Lun.
Finally. I hate it.
He eats sentient beings who are heroes in their universes, but,
Yeah.
Maybe there's some good in him.
Morlun killed Spider-Man.
There is some good in him. They're being digested.
Morlun ate Spider-Man's eyeball and then murdered him. But sure, maybe he could be beaten by Shathra, a second-level Temple Guardian. Are you kidding me? But again, we're not here to talk about anything Dan Slott's written. Right now, anyway.
And they save Dr. Doom, I guess?
Yeah, they're here
Why don't they just let him be killed by these people?
No, come on! No! We can't let anyone die. No one dies.
Oh, yeah, Batman shouldn't fucking kill the Joker, but we can,
Dr. Doom
actively prevent Dr. Doom from being killed by freedom fighters who have every legitimate reason to want him dead.
No! Those people are wrong for what they're doing.
Well, I mean, but it's already blown up. You might as well let them finish the job.
It's like all these people died for nothing.
Right.
No.
I don't want it to be for nothing.
No! You have it be for nothing.
Think of how many people they could save by killing Dr. Doom.
Yeah, but they might as well just wait until he's asleep and do that way. Or go back in time and murder him. Or any other way of doing it.
He controls time. They don't have time travel.
Yeah, they do. Well, they have his time machine.
Oh.
The thing is, you can't actually go back in time using Dr. Doom's time travel. It just creates a tangent universe. Right. Anyway, so there's a lull where the first wave of freedom fighters are defeated.
Yeah.
And so they're checking it out.
There's a little countdown timer. You have another minute and a half until the next wave.
Now, Cap had a special radio that told him that there was a set number of bad guys, and this doesn't add up yet, so there's more. And so Cap is checking on people, and Pete's well, I guess I'll keep trying to save my marriage. Excuse me, lady, are you okay? And she's yeah. And he's do you mind if I sit with you? And she's it's a free carpet. So they sit down, and she's that's another thing. You never introduced me to your friends.
I love his reaction. He's just ugh. Really?
And she's no. I have a legitimate gripe with this.
Okay.
Because JMS wants to set up that there are only 2 characters in Spider-Man supported cast after this happens. Aunt May and Mary Jane. And they're going to meet his superhero friends. But in the meantime, Mary Jane's point is basically I don't like being your superhero mistress. Whenever you're Spider-Man, you have to pretend you don't even know me. And I don't like that. It just otherizes me, and it makes me feel I'm still part of this secret that you have to keep, and I am, because you have a secret identity, but it's one thing to know that logically, and it's another thing to live it and feel it. And that's the reality and the adultness that JMS is putting into the book that appealed to a young me, who was like, this is, okay, these are ideas that are never talked about.
But it really makes sense.
But it means something, and it appeals to someone who might like want a good guide to what it's like to be an adult. So she's like, I don't know like how to fit in all this. And he says, because I love you, isn't that enough? So I'm like, I don't like that. But it's not the thing that wins her heart, so it doesn't work.
Right.
And she's just like, saying I love you isn't enough.
Yeah.
Like, people use that. And Mary Jane would know more than most, since she was abused by her father. But like, you know, people use I love you and say it to different people. It means different things. And like, you can say I love you to a myriad group of people, but that's not what is keeping us together, necessarily. And he's like...
Yeah, there has to be more than just words.
Yeah. And he's like, nuts. More guys. And they're like, die tyrant, free Latveria. And he's like, you wish they get more material. You think they get better material at some point. Anyway, I'm going to steal the Thing's catchphrase and say it's clobbering time. Because JMS is writing Fantastic Four 2. But he has this move that I love where he kicks the guy in the face while webbing him in the eyes and then pivots off of him into a wall.
That's awesome.
Just some of the best Spider-Man action I've ever seen is in this, like the first 4 or 5 volumes of JMS's Spider-Man. Romita Jr. is nailing it. When people say they love Romita Jr. Spider-Man, they're not talking about his Zeb Wells books. They're talking about this. Or even the Mackie era, where like he was doing some really heavy, cool stuff for a really crappy writer. Here's a moment that I love. One of these Iron Man characters is going to shoot a missile at point-blank range at an unconscious Doctor Doom, and so Spider-Man webs the missile and then takes it off trajectory through the open hole in the ceiling, where it finds 2 incoming Iron Man characters and blows them to smithereens.
Nice.
We know they're alive because they scream to death.
Oh.
So Spider-Man just murdered these 2 guys with a missile.
He can kill them.
Right.
But he has to make sure that Dr. Doom
stays alive.
is not...
I didn't kill them. I redirected a missile.
The missile
Who
killed them.
shot that missile?
They decided to come in the building at the same time.
Right. If you guys didn't get involved, everybody be fine.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, it never comes up again, whether these are men in suits or they're robots, maybe drone better.
Maybe they're remotely controlled.
Yeah, and they're using haptic suits.
Yeah.
So they're screaming because of the like feedback.
Because it shook so hard when that explosion went off.
Oh, well, if it's that haptic, then they actually died on the other side from the explosion.
No.
So
Yeah,
if your drone dies, you die in real life.
Yeah, it's the freaking Matrix for no good reason. What a great feature. Hey, by the way, buy our product. If you die in it, you could die in real life.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's like the stakes are real.
That's the thing. Like, you'll take good care of that expensive suit if
you know you'll die in
if it gets destroyed.
What?
That's how you know you live in dystopia.
So they take down the next wave of guys.
How many waves are there?
This is the last wave.
Oh, okay.
So Cap and Pete take down the last wave of guys.
That move, by the way, with the missile, that's from the video game.
Oh, yeah.
Missile
I know. You could. Yeah, and you can shoot other people with them.
Yeah.
I know.
It's awesome.
They got that from this.
Oh, sure, it's fine to kill them then. In a video game.
Those guys don't die.
They don't die. Yeah. We don't know that these guys died. We know they screamed.
They do scream.
We know it was painful.
And there's no bodies left, and their pieces go everywhere. But yes, they probably are okay.
I didn't see any bodies.
No body, no death.
Yep.
If they explode into pieces, they wouldn't be able to scream afterwards.
That's true.
That's true, yeah. They're screaming. This is a long scream. This scream persists
past
through the
explosion.
Yeah.
All right. Let's let them have it.
Don't be mistaken. They are scarred and in pain for the rest of their
life.
life.
Oh, good. Well,
they're wrecked.
But they're alive. My conscience is clean.
Yeah.
So Cap is just kind of like surveying the area, and Pete just goes back to Mary Jane and goes, so where were we? And she's like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe we're having this conversation right now. Like, I don't want to be having, I want to be saving our marriage in the middle of a Captain America team up. Like, this is not fair. And he's like, look, this is the life. This is how we're going to be able to save our marriage, is by being able to have this conversation in the middle of this kind of bullshit. All right, look. Come here. So he leads her away from the wreckage to like have a private conversation. And in this moment, by the way, you can pick up this issue. It's a seminal moment. There's an old man with a woman, and even this old guy can tell that Spider-Man and Mary Jane are together, and he is screwing up because he calls him a mashuga. And this guy looks exactly like, and says Meshuggah just like, the costume designer that JMS will create later in the Spider-Man series, who will be used in Civil War, who makes Speedball his sex gimp pain penance outfit. So here's his first appearance. Now, where his wife is in the rest of those appearances, I don't know, but this is the first appearance of that character.
She saw Sex Gimp costume, she's like, I'm
out! Fair!
I didn't know this is who you were. I don't
No, I made this for a client!
Yes.
Yeah, you did. But you didn't have to test it out first 3 times.
All right.
I mean, I had to make sure that it worked.
Yeah, the first time. And even then, no, because it has spikes on the inside, one for every person that died in Stamford, Connecticut. Hey, by the way, because we've been doing the show for 11 years, and one of the first episodes we did, we made fun of penance.
Yeah.
When we did, we had, and back then we got like 2 or 3 comments per episode. Mm-hmm. 2 or 3 of those comments were, how dare you make fun of penance?
Yes, I
Penance
remember that.
Is so super serial and amazing. Like, I identify with Penance.
Yeah.
He means so much to me. In that time, Penance has become a stupid joke. And everyone thinks that is super grimdark and dumb. We were right.
Yes.
We were right to make fun of him then.
Right.
We're right to do it now.
Don't you realize that those 2 or 3 people commenting were like 20 or 30,000 people?
They represented 20 of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the Nielsen's.
They represented way more people than were even watching those videos.
Well, yes, certainly that. So Pete takes his mask off and he's like, it's not enough, you're right. It's not
in
enough
an
to say
airport in Denver.
No, well, remember, half it's caved in and like they went like under a little like crevasse. Like they're in a private area.
Yeah.
Look, there's smoke and downed like beams.
Yeah, nobody's hanging out there.
No one's in this area. And it's also a gesture of trust and love. But he's like, he rips his mask off and he says, you're right, it's not enough to say I love you. I need you. I can't do any of the things I do without you. And she's like, that's why I left. Because I thought you didn't need me anymore. And he's like, no, like, I can do all these amazing things because I know you're home at the end of the day. And she's like, that's all I wanted to hear. And I love thinking about that in today's context where their marriage has been dissolved, and he proves that that's not true at all.
He was proving it wasn't true this whole time.
Yeah. And in fact, the only thing he needed was to be able to play the field and sleep with amazing characters that have stood the test of time. You know, like Carly Cooper.
Right.
Everybody loves her character.
Yeah.
Everybody loves that roller derby, half goblin-faced chick. Anyway, with tears in her eyes, she says, when I left, I thought that you didn't need me anymore. Like, that you were able to move on. And now I know that that's not true. And he's like, no, I'm nothing without you. Come home. And she's like, okay. So
that's both sweet and sad.
Yeah. But it's sad now. It's great here when all we wanted was for them to get back together.
Yeah, in hindsight, it's rough.
How ironic that young me would read this hoping they'd get back together. And now here I am again reading it hoping they'll get back together. But,
yeah, you're like, oh man, I wish they could do that again.
Yeah.
I wish it made any sense at all why they're not together.
It doesn't, and every like couple of months to a year, someone of a high authority, the most recent one was Tom Brevoort, who said that Pete and Mary Jane can get back together but can never be married, and they never will be. And it's like, you need to stop asking.
Right.
Look, okay, they can be married in the Ultimate Universe. You're welcome. In every other universe, they can be married except for the main one. Because it was so hard to undo.
Isn't he dead in the Ultimate Universe?
No, the new Ultimate Universe.
Oh, the new Ultimate Universe, right.
And look, in the new Ultimate Universe, you know, it's basically him. Because it is the 616 universe, but mucked up by the maker. So, real Peter is married to Mary Jane.
Let me ask you this. Why don't you just have him be single in that universe and let him get married again in this universe?
Since that's apparently real Peter.
Or how about this? What's your justification for needing him to not be married in the main universe? Right. Is it because he needs to be young and hip and have a love triangle or some kind of Archie Andrews nonsense?
I'll tell you. Because it is intrinsic in the character of Peter Parker.
Right.
That Peter Parker is only interesting when he's in a love triangle.
I see.
Due to all the other aspects of his life.
I see.
That are different from those of Miles Morales. It's not about how popular he is, or how good of Spider-Man he is, or anything like that.
No.
It's just because of vague, unspecified aspects of the character.
I see. So what you're saying is that the 30 years when he was married, none of those stories were interesting or had any relevance.
Horrible.
So we're saying
Snooze fest.
The invention of Venom, Carnage, symbiotes in general, any of that.
Well, those weren't.
I'm mostly thinking of the
Those
clone
weren't really Spider-Man centric. They involved Spider-Man in a way, but those are their own thing. Well, Venom is interesting.
Oh, and he's his own character, and he's got his own office. He has his own editors, and his own movie franchise.
Yeah.
With that make less money every time it comes out.
Well, yeah. But how come he can be married in the Ultimate Universe?
Right.
Then? Like, why does it work there, but not in the main universe?
Because let me ask you this: like, if everything you're saying is true, then you could be selling so many more copies of Ultimate Spider-Man if he wasn't married.
Right. Why are you taking money off the table?
Yeah. If there is a quantifiable dollar value attached to this arbitrary aspect of his character.
Yeah. Every version of him should not be married, so you make the most money possible.
Yeah. Right?
Do you think, is it possible that more people bought Spider-Man hoping he would get back together with Mary Jane than when he was finally back together with her?
Well, that's the thing. No. But also, there is a contingent of readers who definitely still read that book because they're hoping that they'll get back together. And
like a soap opera.
I don't understand why you would lose those readers by telling them definitively that they're never going to get back together.
Right. Just keep stringing them along.
Right. Because that's what you're doing.
I want you to stop asking.
Yes. Because as much as I want your money, and I have no respect for you, I also don't want to read your comments anymore. I'm tired of being told that I'm wrong when I know I'm right.
Right.
And I have absolutely no data to back up how right I think I am.
Yeah. I just believe it.
I just believe it.
I just know it in my soul.
I know it in my soul, and
that marriage was horrible.
Yeah, it was just, and it's like, look, when it was invented, was it stupid? It was stupid in the origins. Like, it was stupid that they were doing it because of a newspaper strip.
Right.
And was it tacked on when it happened? Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But it grew. I mean,
well, it also made sense in the newspaper strip, which is the same character.
But in a different continuity.
In a different continuity, but he's the same guy.
Right.
So, like, yes, maybe you screwed up the transition, but him being married, if it works in the comic strip, it should be able to somehow work in the regular as well.
And if you're asking all of us to accept arbitrary or editorial decisions that are made for these fictitious characters and not meta-read, allow these things to happen and just be like, that's just what happens to these characters, then why are you so hung up on something that's equally felonious? Like, editorial mandate brought them together, and we took it at face value.
Right.
But
now
why are you asking us not to take it at face value when you arbitrarily refuse to get them back together? Like,
right.
Because
I was restoring it to where it's supposed to be.
Right. Except
it was always supposed to be.
When I was young, specifically me.
Yeah, that's
when Spider-Man first came on the scene, he wasn't married.
Yeah. Okay.
Was he married on day one?
No.
I rest my case.
There you go.
You have no case.
I'm taking him back to his roots.
I'm just saying that's
the
most...
Is he going to be 15 again? He'll act like he's 15.
Maybe.
Yeah.
In the body of a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
Won't be sad and weird at all.
I need you to forget
all
that aging he did and just pretend he's like 22.
Because that would be gross. I mean, I just feel like, because everyone around him also grew up. So it's just weird.
It's just a little weird.
It's just a little weird and uncomfortable. So Pete, Spider-Man's up, goes back to Captain America. He's like, hey, did we miss anything? And Captain America goes, while we were gone, we had one distraction. And Doom goes, Doom is not a distraction. And I love Captain America's look on his face. He just goes, he came to a few minutes ago. I've been talking to this guy for 10 minutes. Where were you? I needed some interference for this guy. I can't talk to Dr. Doom. Don't leave me in the room with him.
It was great when I was undercover.
Yeah. So Doom's like, I heard that you saved my life while I was unconscious, so I guess I owe you a favor. And Spider-Man's like, you can shove your favor up your ass. Those guys were right. You are a tyrant. And I can't wait until I watch you be deposed on CNN like you should be. And Doom's like, and then leaves. And so Captain America goes, is there any other business? Are we good? Should I leave? And Spider-Man goes, yeah, And Mary Jane is already like, so he goes, come here. And so he brings Captain America over to Mary Jane and he goes, this is a very good friend of mine. Captain America, this is Mary Jane. Mary Jane, Captain America. She's like, and he just looks at Pete like, nice.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Miss Watson.
No, I'm not setting you up. I thought you were giving me like a look of approval. I'm punching my weight class.
No, I meant nice, like thanks for introducing us.
No, she's married.
Yeah, see that ring? Actually, I don't know if she's wearing a ring.
She is.
Okay.
And throughout this run,
It'd be
they were
hilarious,
like,
though.
draw a ring on both of them. They forget a lot on Peter, but like MJ has a ring. And Pete does sometimes when you see it. But Captain America is not trying to cuckold Spider-Man. He just says,
He gets it.
A word from the wise, someone who's been down this road a while. The mask is supposed to hide your face. Don't let it hide your heart. And then he leaves, and Spider-Man goes, who was that masked man?
That's great.
And you're like, yes, that's
Yay.
funny. The 20 minutes with the cabbie is bullshit.
That was bullshit.
But yeah, so then Dr. Doom has to go through airport security, and like the guy's not looking. The metal detector goes off. He goes, could you empty your pockets, lose change? And then Doom like puts change in the thing and then walks through, and the thing goes off again.
The fact that Doom has changed.
They're like Varian
is
coins.
ridiculous.
But I love it. Just so then Pete and Mary Jane go on like a hike because you're in Denver. Why not?
Yeah, sure.
Unfortunately, what they leave out is the fact that they're in Denver Airport.
To drive for like
hour
an
and a half
to get
drive. Especially if you're going to Estes, like you get another friggin' like hour 45 minutes before you can get anywhere near these mountains. Look at how close they are to these mountains. I've been here. I know how far it is. Okay, these two would get as far as the blue creepy horse before they go. Yeah, fuck this. Let's just go to New Jersey.
They're there. What's an hour and a half?
Well, it's just we
okay.
skip over all that.
Look,
they take a bus.
It better be early in the morning because, like, if they're going during the week at any point after noon, it is going to be like an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours to get to Estes or to some state park.
The airport was like destroyed, so they're probably trapped for like weeks.
It's true. Yeah.
So it's like, well, you know what? We got a hotel. This is like 3 days later. They planned a trip.
Yeah.
They drove out to the mountains.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just skipped over all that.
He might as well.
Also, he has his luggage on him.
Yeah.
Oh, he does. Yeah, they watched from the airport.
No, they did not.
That's what you're supposed to think.
Well,
is
they
that
didn't.
They took a step outside the airport.
And now they're in the mountains.
You can see this
The
beautiful
planes
shot.
couldn't go over these mountains if the mountains are that close to the airport.
Well, they come over the mountains and then they have to do this like big
A
sweep
whole
around
long
and then
sweep
Yeah.
down.
No, they don't.
It's like a corkscrew.
It's insane. It's just like, why did you pick because it's in the middle of America. That's why.
right. It was in between.
Yeah.
They met in the middle.
Right.
It's
I don't
not
know
really
anything
in the middle,
about
it's
Denver, but I
more-
did know that it's in the middle.
They should have met at St. Louis if you wanted to be in the middle, but
then it could have been them with the arch.
oh yeah, the arch. It's still not near the airport, probably.
No. But at least then I could buy it. See,
it's a little
thing
closer.
The thing is, I don't know anything about Missouri. So I'm good.
Well, nobody does.
Well, that's true. I don't think anybody even lives there. I'm waiting for you to fucking be like, I've been to Missouri 4 times.
I've been to Missouri 4 times.
Have you really?
Yeah.
What?
Maybe 3 times. No, probably 4 times.
Aha! It came to you from the other side.
The reference I didn't even know was there. But yeah, so they're together, and then like the book is
Yay!
just, and I love it because there's this scene, like where they're walking through the middle of this park, and she's like, "This isn't gonna be easy, Like it's gonna take work." No, it won't.
Nah.
No, they're done. Like there's
Right.
like 1 or 2
It'll
issues.
happen between the pages.
No. There's 1 or 2 issues. The issue is essentially that like she's ready for them to just kind of like get back to normal, and he still wants to like make it perfect. Not that he like fucks it up, but like essentially they go out to dinner. There's this beautiful scene where they're at like a fancy restaurant, and Peter has no business being there, and he is just saying uncouth bullshit, and it's just making her laugh her ass off. Like she's like, "I'm gonna pee my pants. You are being so uncouth and inappropriate right now," to this snooty waiter at this very expensive restaurant. Like he's like, "Oh, steak tartare, well done." She's like, "Oh my god," but she's enjoying it too, and she's like, "Hey, I had a thought," because like they're not together, they're not living together at this point.
Right.
She gets like a hotel,
Even though they're married?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
they're still working it out.
They're dating.
They're dating now. They're in the like dating phase of their reconciliation. But she's staying at a hotel adjacent to his apartment, and she's like, I had a crazy idea. And she like whispers in his ear, like, I am gonna fuck your brains out. And he...
Oh no, anything but that.
And he has this cute moment where it's like a sequence of panels, and he like touches her nose and goes, no. And she's like, what? And he's like, I am not like in the, I need it to be, I want to be in like a perfect, I'm gonna shake the paint off the walls. We do, but it needs to be like when like things are like copacetic, like when like my life is kind of evened out. Like I want to like make sure we're you deserve my full attention. You know, I don't want to be like working a case or trying to help some stupid kid in one of my dumb teacher stories. Like, and the lesson at the end is there's never going to be that time.
Right.
And you're Spider-Man, so you'll hold out. Like,
And she's like, I'm the case. Work my case.
Yes.
All night.
and he does, and it's like hooray. And it works out great, you know. But like that's the kind of like, oh, I don't know, and then eventually they move in together. But they have to like find a new apartment because like he's staying in like a crappy tiny apartment that only he could afford.
Right. So is this when they move into the new apartment at the same time when they're moving into the new apartment in the other book? Because they're moving into another apartment in the other book. Is that apartment?
I mean, it should be, but there's very little coordination between those two books.
Right.
So
they go through like 6 apartments in like 2 months.
Literally, there's an arc where their apartment is blown up, and
that happens.
well,
sometimes.
it's actually great because like their apartment gets blown up and Aunt May's house is destroyed, and they have to move in to Stark Tower.
Oh.
And then the New Avengers have 2 other characters hanging out with them, Mary Jane and Aunt May, and it's like that's everything I wanted. In
And
fact,
so they all know that Spider-Man is Peter
oh
Parker.
yeah, no, the New Avengers, they're all on the same page.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, especially at that point,
Yeah.
they're like, it's over.
Yeah.
Like yeah, no. And
Well, after this, you know,
like-
then Captain America like Googles like Mary Jane and sees who her husband is. Like, oh, Peter
that
Parker.
guy, yeah.
Spider-Man's
He
Peter.
doesn't know how to Google anything.
dude, no, Cap should know. And in fact, I think it's only in New Avengers. There is JMS plays with Captain America and stuff in these books, but in Bendis's New Avengers, Cap knows who he is because he's like a ranking member of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, Cap goes to Pete's job as Steve Rogers, and he's like, hey, I want you to be in the Avengers. Like, he just brings him in.
Right. It's like, yeah, I know who you are.
Right, I know who you are. And Pete isn't like,
You think I don't have a dossier on you? Come on.
there's like 7. Like, come on. You've worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. before. Not like as Peter Parker, but still.
Right.
Like, there's no
but
way
they
you don't know.
once the first time you worked for them, they
got
did
you.
a full check on you.
Yeah.
They had your voice print.
They got everything.
Yeah. It took them like a minute.
Yeah. It's actually kind of annoying that you think we didn't.
Right.
But yeah.
They're just
so-
cool, and they didn't tell anybody.
Right.
I'm
But
gonna,
I
I'm
would-
gonna
they don't
introduce
care.
you to our top tier spy. His name is Uatu.
Hi.
I told them everything about you.
Why? You said you have a non-interference pact.
I didn't technically interfere.
What are you talking about? You told him who it was.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I don't like stop bad guys and stuff.
I don't like physically interfere. I don't like, punch people.
That's not interference. What? You?
No, I can say anything I want. I can warn you about things. I can.
Yeah.
If I had a non-interference policy,
You'd be
I'd
dead.
never be around.
Yeah. If I didn't have a non-interference policy, you'd be fucking dead, my friend. Galactus
welcome.
would have eaten you. You're welcome. You should be thanking me for my interference.
I could be a normal watcher, and you'd all be dead. How about that?
I don't know enough about Watchers
To know if that's
to
true.
know if that's true or not. I wasn't there
Yeah, that's
during
right.
the trial
Well,
of
I guess you'll have to take my word for it.
All right. I am going to ask Reed, though. I feel like he would know. Yeah, you know what? Reed's going to actually back me up on this one because he does not want you to know about the Ultimate Nullifier incident. Oh, yeah, no, he's on the level. That's around the time when I threatened to unmake existence if Galactus didn't leave. What?
What?
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, we had Johnny go through like a nightmare dimension and collect the Ultimate Nullifier. I'm sorry. Ultimate what? Oh, it's the Ultimate Nullifier. It's a device with like 2 buttons on it, one of which, if pressed, can unmake reality itself.
What does the other button do?
I have no idea.
Nobody knows.
I don't even know which button it is.
I'll figure out
crapshoot.
if I need to use it. I'll just press them both real fast. Just
Wait,
button mash.
you did that like it's a small device.
Oh,
yeah, it's like
yeah.
the size of a cell phone.
Yeah, very easy to operate.
No! What? For the
Very
love
easy
of
to
God,
accidentally trigger.
why would anyone make that?
I don't know, man. There's
you know what?
another dimension. It's
I feel like we're gonna Flash.
Well,
You got this idea from comic book. There's no way that I
you're getting
didn't
hung
have-
up on all the wrong details.
Yeah, you know what?
The point is, I saved the world.
Yeah.
We need to really focus on that part.
What matters is Mr. Fantastic.
What matters is, I certainly don't want to keep that lying around when I have kids in the place.
No! They push all kinds of buttons.
Oh, dear God.
Well, don't forget, they gave him the ultimate nullifier. Like, they didn't keep it. They gave it back to Galactus.
That's right. Not in that story, but later.
Yeah.
They gave it to him.
Yeah, but they get it back at some point.
I think Reed knows how to build one. Which is really a problem.
It is a problem.
He's like, of course I know how to build one.
Yeah.
But I don't.
But I don't.
You know what?
As far as you know.
He wouldn't even worry about it. His son is an ultimate nullifier.
That's true.
With a sentience. And he's just like, you know what? There's a far bigger problem here.
It's my
He's
boy.
named Franklin Richards.
I just
You
gotta
have
make sure.
no control over that.
Yeah.
And
You
you
can
know
have a
what?
tantrum. Who knows what's going to
We
happen?
all just have to live with that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Why do you think you're still 22? You're his favorite superhero.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
What?
Didn't you notice the gray in my hair?
Yeah. Why are you
Like,
immune to aging?
I'm Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. I'm 50 years old. And you're Peter Parker Spider-Man, you're still 22. Do you think that's a little weird? You ever notice that Flash Thompson is 38 years old? And you both went to the same high school? Yeah. My son loves you, and he wants to make sure you're exactly as he remembers you.
I thought those were my powers.
What?
Not aging?
What about being a spider? Do spiders live forever? What are they fucking jellyfish or whatever the hell? What,
Lobsters?
What are they, lobster? What are you, a lobster?
Well, they made that movie about. It's basically about me.
I don't watch
Amazing
movies.
Lobster. Oh,
My wife was in it.
in her underwear.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
Oh,
I
now
saw
he
that one.
remembers.
Oh, I definitely saw that one.
Well, I saw
that one
saw
like 5
clips of
times.
it.
On the internet.
I saw the important part.
You know, like how like everybody who would have seen Avengers Endgame saw it, but more people saw the big fight on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely.
Just like in The Amazing Lobster Man, no one's gonna go see The Amazing Lobster Man.
Yeah.
But if you see a poster, I might catch it, on tape.
Yeah,
I might
catch the highlights.
I might catch it on DVD,
Yeah.
when I can like pause it and go friend by friend. What's the rating on this movie? Wait. Is it okay? So it's PG-13. Is it like Titanic PG-13?
There are a few that are.
I remember seeing Titanic and being like, "Whoa!
Whoa, they can do that?
There's movement to this movie!" Like
I thought I knew how the ratings worked,
Yeah.
and I did not.
because I remember, I remember going to Titanic, hoping I was going to get a little boob to myself, and I'm like, "This is great. Doesn't work out. I still got this. No matter what, tonight I saw boobs."
Yeah. Well, at least someone
Jackpot.
took her top off.
Yeah, that's what I say to her. Well, at least somebody took their top off. That's why I can't hear out of this ear.
I got slapped real hard.
Yeah, even though it's completely different than everything that came before it.
I can't believe
you can't do it by itself.
I can't believe how like divorced it is. It's like, all right, it's like, dude, JMS, you invented it. Like you came up with all this fucking bullshit about gods and spiders and Ezekiel's and shit. Why are you now giving us this palate cleanser where it's like, now that's over with?
Right.
Like, but you didn't
Here's a
have to
story
start
that could
with
have
it.
come after any story.
That's true. Well, and for me it was. For
Yeah.
me it was like Ben Reilly died.
You're like, oh, this is what's going on in Spider-Man now?
All right,
Great.
cool.
Oh, cool. Little
got-
everyday slice of life.
Dr. Doom, I got Captain America in here. This is great.
And MJ's back. This is great. I'm ready. And then the next arc, I'm like, oh yeah. It's weird and it's got way too many tangents. And that's another thing. I'm like, look, I love these, but you thought that the cabbie was egregious? Try 10 cabbies, and they're not all cabbies. They're all just
people.
just hilarious people. Like, look, I could do all kinds of things. Like, you don't need to
See
be
all the life I give to my background characters?
This
Yeah.
is vaudeville, okay, Straczynski? You don't need to show, like, I hired you to write. You don't need to be like, oh, and I can sing and I can juggle. Like, just give me Spider-Man.
Well, I only have like 3 Spider-Man ideas, so I kind of need to pad it
I got
out
that.
a little bit.
Yeah, like, well, and really you only have one Spider-Man idea. Let me guess. A big monster that he's never seen before, who was never established before that, is coming. And someone says, hey, watch out from that big thing that's coming. You might die. And then it shows up, and he fights him. And he realizes, holy shit, I've got to cut loose on this guy. And then he does. And then
I can't hold back.
he wins. Morlun
It looks like he might not win, but then he does.
That is all of them. I have never seen more
Brutal.
than the opening credits to Babylon 5. But I assume that's every episode or season arc of Babylon 5. I wouldn't know, and neither would anyone else, because no one else has seen Babylon 5. But I challenge you, folks who definitely have in the comments,
Oh,
who
definitely.
were like, how dare you say that?
How dare you?
I'm not a fan of spiders just crawling all over Spider-Man.
Neither am I. I don't like when Peter embraces the spider thing. I don't like when characters say that he's dressed like a spider. He is not. He's dressed like the American flag.
I mean, he's not dressed like either of them. He's the colors of the American flag.
Yeah.
But his pattern
Is nothing.
It's not spiders, and
No.
it's not a flag.
Spider-Man is dressed like a spider-themed wrestler. That's what he's actually dressed like.
That is what he's dressed like, yes. Because he has webbing. Spiders aren't covered in webbing.
No, they
Spiders
make them.
webs and sit in
which
webs.
he also does.
Yeah.
That's whenever Spider's like, trust me, we make webs, but we are also covered in that stuff. It's
Nah,
sticky.
This is never,
I
yeah,
can
we
see
can never
them.
get it off.
They're not covered. They don't stick to their own
Yeah, they
web.
can't. Just like
No,
hair.
their feet don't.
But their bodies?
Oh, terrible.
They don't. Spiders also don't have spiders emblazoned on themselves. If they have anything on them, they have things that look like other things, like an
Yeah.
hourglass.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a spider. He's themed like a spider.
That's why Black Widow has an hourglass on her suit. She is more dressed like a spider than Spider-Man.
That's true.
Yeah, she just needs 4 more limbs.
Well, because he doesn't, and he's still Spider-Man.
Yeah.
She's dressed like a spider, a specific one. He's supposed to represent all spiders.
Which spider is he dressed like?
Right.
I'm sorry.
None.
What spider is called Spider-Man? She is literally called Black Widow.
Yes, that's true.
Well, yeah, he's dressed like the Spider-Man spider. Prove there isn't one.
I can't.
Prove there isn't.
There
No,
is.
there is a Spider-Man
Spider-Man
spider. It's
spider.
the one that bit him.
Oh yeah, that's that. No, but
It
there
looks
is-
red and blue.
They found a spider that's like red and blue, and they named it after Spider-Man.
Yeah, they did do that. I remember that. But it doesn't have a web pattern on its fucking body.
That's fair. Because why would it?
Because why would it?
Insane.
That doesn't make any sense.
No. So there you have it. We'll see you guys next time with another episode. We'll see you guys next time with another episode. Did I say that already?
You
Twice?
said that
Wow, what
twice.
the fuck?
Yeah, you haven't.
Anyway, we'll
shown.
see you guys next time with another episode. We'll see you guys next time with another episode.
We'll see you next time with another
We'll see
episode.
you guys next time with another episode.
God. Oh, no.
We'll see you next time with another episode.
Oh no!
We'll see you.
You can't say
next
anything.
time
Ah!
with another episode. Uh-oh. Oh, I'm back.
I'm calling
Woo!
911.
Woo! I actually refuse sponsorships on the show because I want to keep it as evergreen as humanly possible.
Right.
But I also want to keep doing the show for a living. So click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And click the
Otherwise,
bell
we're going to eat Ethan.
for notification. Ethan is not going to be the first one to eat Ethan because he's obviously skinnier than Ben. So save Ben and make sure that this show gets viewed because when the show comes out on Wednesdays, if it doesn't get like a certain number of views within the first few hours, YouTube's like, oh, nobody wants to watch this.
Yep.
And it's like, that's not how people live or operate.
Right. That's
no
just
one
a
goes, oh
coincidence,
shit,
man.
a video. I'll watch 2 fucking hours right now. Like, that doesn't exist. But YouTube's like, I don't know that.
Well, I assume it is
But I've
because
been
that's what content is.
Well, and I've been trying to force life to be like that for the last 12 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't.
Don't you remember when everyone was home and just watched videos all the time?
Yeah, that was called television, and they were like scheduled programming.
No, I'm talking about the pandemic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Man, better times. But
Well, here's the thing. That video didn't start to go viral within the first hour. It's not going to go viral.
it'll never go viral.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
If it's not going to go viral, what's the fucking point?
and they actively suppress
Shut off
it.
the views.
Yeah, they're like, shut it off. Don't even show it to the subscribers.
I got to direct people to other videos that might go viral.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can't be
you
directed
had
into
your shot.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Yeah.
I'm
You
sorry.
had 30 seconds.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, welcome to the back issues.
Welcome to the Batcave.
Welcome to the Batcave. Oh, that would have been a great name for. That would have been a great thing to say when the show was Bad Issues.
For the,
Hey, is it too late for me to
episodes we
change
did.
the name of the set for Bad Issues?
Yes, it was over a year ago.
It was over 3 years
It
ago.
was many years ago.
Fuck!